Flying Bull Productions presents LaF! Literature and Film.
Broadcasting live from Flying Bull Production Studios, it's LaF, episode 112, We Laugh for the January 15th weekend. I'm your host, Mr. Two Frames. Joining me in studios, as always, is the L Train. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing great. It's a bright, sunny, cold January day.
Starting to feel a lot like winter.
Finally, after coming back from winter break, and none of it felt like winter break.
We say this, and when this opens or drops, it'll be like 75 degrees out.
No, I think we're due for the cold,
Really?
and I think next week we've got a chance at snow.
Ugh,
Nothing like podcasting in the snow, I
I
say.
hate snow. I do. I hate snow. I hate the option of snow or the potential for snow.
You're just completely anti-winter.
I love cold. I love cold.
You don't like Christmas. Don't like snow.
Christmas is fine. I like Christmas.
Hot chocolate?
Yeah.
All right.
I like
Fair enough.
I like cold chocolate better.
All right. So this weekend we see 3 new movies coming out in the box office.
Are we going to see any of them?
There's one that has me intrigued. In
All
fact,
right.
let's start with that. That's 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi.
Wow.
This is based on a true story when an American ambassador is killed during an attack at a U.S. compound in Libya. A security team struggles to make sense of the chaos. This is from director Michael Bay,
Right.
who always does very realistic historical movies.
Yeah. This is a little out of his wheelhouse.
The bad thing is now everyone thinks of Michael Bay as the Transformers director, when for a long time he was one of the top action directors out there. And people got excited about his films.
But schlocky action.
I don't know if it's schlocky. It has its own style,
All
and
right.
it's very phonetic.
Other than
cutting.
the Transformers, what are...
The Rock. Bad Boys?
Right. Schlocky. I think The Rock is a schlocky film. It's not a prestige film.
The Island is pretty good sci-fi.
Schlocky.
Pearl Harbor?
Pearl
Pearl Harbor has a great action.
Come on, man. Nobody likes Pearl Harbor.
The
I
attack
like The
on
Rock
Pearl
a lot.
Harbor is good.
Yeah, there's some good action sequences.
And
Horrible stuff in Transformers.
His best movie, and probably his most decisive.
Divisive.
Yeah, we can't even agree
Decisive
on that word. Is Pain and Gain with The Rock. I really enjoyed that movie.
All right. Maybe you mean his most critically acceptable movie.
His favorite of mine.
Oh, okay. I would say The Rock.
I mean, a lot of critics out there hated Pain and Gain. The Rock is fun. It's good old-fashioned Nicolas Cage fun.
Hey, it's got Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. So, to me, this could just be a fun action film. Or it could be a glorious mess that's fun to watch because it's a glorious mess.
I think it's going to strike somewhere in between because he's trying to do different camera techniques with a shaky cam. He's already mentioned in an interview I read this week that he wanted to have up-close personal action as if you were there.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that style is not appealing to me.
You didn't like...
That camera style is horrifying.
Black Hawk Down?
Maybe that was the first time it was used, and maybe should have been the last time that it was used. But I think they also mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets oppressive, and sometimes I don't even notice it. So like in 71, you said it was there a lot, the movie 71 from earlier this year. I can see it in the previews because I have no interest in watching this, so I've watched some of the previews, and it doesn't seem... I mean, it seems like it's going to be a hot mess. So.
All right. Well, that would be my pick of the 3 movies to go see. What else is there out there?
All right, so this is...
Make the case for another one of these films.
I'm not sure if I could. I don't think I'll be going to any movies this weekend. I might be staying home and watching some movies on the internets. This movie is political propaganda geared towards children. And it has an environmental message about polar bears and the melting of our polar ice cap. And what is that called? Global warming?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Norm of the North, Trevor Wall's first feature film, stars voice talent of Rob Schneider, Heather Graham, and Kin Jung. I like
That's
most
an
of them.
all-star cast.
Talk about the D list, though.
Heather Graham's fallen off quite a bit. I don't think Rob Schneider has ever been that great.
He might have been a C-. He might have been on the C- list. Ken Jeong went up there for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's got a TV show now on ABC that I don't think's been canceled yet.
Hasn't been canceled, so he's D.
This is one of those
Still
movies
on
I
the D
saw.
list.
I went, wow, are they just trying to put this out because it's cost them so little to make, and they figure there's no other competition for it right now? I mean, Alvin the Chipmunks has been out for almost a month now.
Oh, you mean because it's children's movie?
Yeah, because originally this was supposed to be a direct-to-DVD release, and they changed it a couple months ago and said, no, we're going to put this in theaters, roll the dice.
Oh, I was thinking that they were capitalizing on the success of The Bears and The Revenant.
Yeah.
We've even talked about the movie. It's called Norm of the North. Did I give the title?
I don't think so.
Norm of the North, displaced from their Arctic home, a polar bear named Norm and his 3 lemming friends wind up in New York City, where Norm becomes the mascot of a corporation he soon learns is tied to the fate of his homeland.
Is the spoiler of this corporation is Coca-Cola?
I don't know. If it is, then you did a pretty good job of nailing it. What's his homeland? The Arctic?
No, Northern Canada.
Because it says displaced from their Arctic home.
Yeah, Northern Canada.
So what is it? Northern Canada? That's my homeland?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
did they think they got the bear from The Revenant?
No, I think he was too busy.
He might have been too busy he's doing some Oscar press.
Yeah, he's
Getting
on
ready for
promotional
next week.
tour. All right, the last film coming out is Ride Along 2, starring Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. As his wedding day approaches, Ben heads to Miami with his soon-to-be brother-in-law James to bring down a drug dealer who's supplying the dealers of Atlanta with product.
Like hair product?
No, the good old-fashioned cocaine.
Oh.
Snow White's drug of choice.
White Line.
Yeah. This comes from director Tim Story, who did the first ride-along film, as well as Fantastic Four and the sequel Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Wow. Pedigree.
He's been around for a long time.
His next movie is a black version of The Christmas Carol. Like, do we need another version of The Christmas Carol?
You know, I was about to say, hasn't Tyler Perry already done that? I don't think he has.
Perhaps he has. This guy's, he's fallen into that niche. That's called Humbug. It's got Ice Cube supposedly attached to it.
This will do well.
Okay.
This makes 15 to 20 million this weekend, I bet.
I never saw Ride Along 1. I don't think I'd be able to follow it.
Oh, apparently they wanted to call this movie at first Ride Together with a number 2 in place of the TO in the word together.
Wow.
But calmer heads prevailed.
That would have affected the box office.
Yeah.
That would have been the worst title choice. It had the most negative effect or deleterious effect on a title or on a movie.
Yeah. That would not have worked well. But like I said, this will make 15 to 20 million. I think it does around 80 million total at the box office. The last film did pretty well, and like we've been saying, there's not a whole lot coming out right now in competition. So
you think this wins? This beats 13 Soldiers?
Oof.
You just said 20 million for this.
Yeah, I think this makes more money than 13 Hours.
13 Hours.
Just because 13 Hours is rated R, so it limits its box office potential.
Right.
13 Hours, I think, does well if it makes 12 million.
Norm of the North.
But Star Wars is going to win again this weekend, I bet.
Revenant won. Revenant won this weekend.
I thought Revenant made 38 million and Star Wars made 40.
I think you got your numbers wrong there. I don't know. I just looked it up this morning. I thought it was 47 or 41. It was 40 some odd number.
All right, fair enough.
For the Revenant, it was the first. I think the title was The Revenant Mauls Star Wars at the box office, and I'm thinking it's not really a mauling if one movie gets just slightly less than the other. So
yeah, and Star Wars has already been out for a month.
So the question then becomes: is there a drop? Is there a huge drop off for the Revenant, or does it word of mouth allow it to take the box office second week in a row?
It'll drop 30% at least.
So this is one of those where,
which is, I mean, isn't
Star
bad
Wars
for
probably
the
won't
second week.
drop that much.
Star
Now you're
Wars-
starting to get people going back to Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars does another 30 million plus. They're happy because they've already crossed 800 million, and they opened in China, made over 50 million in 2 days. I mean,
Norm of the North.
Norm of the North. Oof. I'm horrible at guessing how much animated films make. I'll say 15 million.
Wow.
No?
No one even make half that.
Well, if there's bad weather across the nation this
All
weekend.
Right. Yeah, I didn't take the weather into account.
All right. If you're staying home, I got a pick from the Redbox. This is great. I don't know how we haven't talked about this movie already. This is Irrational Man.
We haven't talked about it because I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It's a Woody Allen directed film starring Emma Stone, Joaquin Phoenix, and Parker Posey. Joaquin Phoenix plays a tormented philosophy professor. Who,
Jewish?
No.
No.
He's kind of depressed. He has no purpose in life. And he finds a chance to commit an existential act. It's like philosophy in real life, the practicality.
Oh, okay. So he might pull the lever that's been from
something
mad
like that.
philosophers sent down.
So this gives him new life.
All right.
It's funny. I really like these new Woody Allen films. I tried watching some of his older stuff. It doesn't work for me nearly as well. Last year I watched Magic and the Moonlight that also had Emma Stone in it. Thought that was a great little film. Irrational Man, another great little film. It's only like 90 minutes long. So
all right.
That's my pick from the Red Box, Irrational Man. What do you got for us for streaming?
Well, I have another Amazon Prime pick of the week now. I was off Amazon for a little bit, but I'm back on the Amazon Prime.
You guys have worked out your problems?
We worked out our differences. We went to counseling. This is a movie that clip is only about 95 minutes long, but it feels like it's about 7 hours long. Yeah. I thought about it because of the movie that we're going to be reviewing this week, The Revenant. And a lot of Inarritu's style seems to be not mimicking, but at least similar to Terrence Malick. Mm-hmm. Terrence Malick was involved in this, and there are a lot of similar shots with a handheld camera at a very low angle, paying attention to the trees. Anyway, it's the story of Abraham Lincoln's childhood in the harsh wilderness of Indiana and the hardships that shaped him. And I think there's 2 or 3 women that guide him to immortality. It's directed by and written by A.J. Edwards. I think it's his first film, but it stars Jason Clarke, Diane Kruger, and Britt Marling. It's a pretty good cast, I think, as the people that sort of influence Abe Lincoln. It's Abe Lincoln's childhood.
This just recently came out?
It came out a couple or 3 years ago. It says Terrence Malick film, but I think he was just a producer. He didn't direct it. Like I said, it's this A.J. Edwards guy. Filmed in black and white, very independent, very pensive and maudlin, and interesting in a way. I mean, you just kind of want to take yourself back to that time period, like The Revenant does, and this movie does the same sort of thing. It might be worth it if you're into that kind of thing. It's a historical look at early young Abe Lincoln. So if you're interested in all those things or any of those things, Terrence Malick, Abe Lincoln, Jason Clarke, it's probably worth a look. I don't know, it's 95 minutes. Like I said, it plods along.
Is this like a meets cutoff type of plod?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm staying away then.
Yeah.
So since I won't be watching Amazon Prime then this weekend, what about on the good old Netflix? What could I watch?
My net pick of the week is also based a little bit on The Revenant, because this was the first independent film that I probably saw. Well, this is not the reason why. It's one of the very first independent movies I remember seeing and recognizing that there is something out there called independent film, which is taking a little bit of risks and telling different stories than what you would see in major Hollywood films. It's called Smoke Signals. It came out in 1998, sorry. And it's about a young Indian man named Thomas, who's the nerd on his reservation, wears these oversized glasses. Nobody wants to hear him or listen to him. He's trying to recall the sort of storytelling concepts that are of the oral storytelling of Native Americans. His parents died in a fire in 1976. The kid that saved him, or the man who saved him, was a complicated father of a guy who grows up to be his friend, this guy Victor. When Victor hears that his father has died, Thomas offers to fund him the trip to go get his remains, because he doesn't really want to go and he doesn't have the money, but this nerd Thomas funds the trip, and Thomas and Victor hit the road. It's a tale about the life on the reservation and what it's like to be an American Indian living in a modern society, or semi-modern society. I guess it's set around 1986, even though it's 1998 is when it was filmed. It's written by Sherman Alexie, who also wrote a few books about the Native American experience. Tonto and the Lone Ranger fight in space, I think, or something like that is one of them. Yeah. He's a weird guy. He's a trippy guy.
Okay.
But I really like Sherman Lexie, and I like this movie. It's a fun little movie, and I saw it on Netflix, and it became my nitpick of the week.
All right, and that's Smoke Signals. Amazon Prime, you're recommending The Better Angel. I'm saying if you head by the Red
Better
Box.
Angels. There's two of
Better
them.
Angels, sorry.
2 or 3.
My bad. If you head by the Red Box, pick up Irrational Man, Woody Allen's newest film. The Weekend has 3 major movies coming out. Neither of us want to see Norm of the North or Ride Along 2. I'm saying go watch 13 Hours to get your Michael Bay on. You're saying give it a pass, wait for it to show up on HBO.
Yes.
Would you even watch it then?
Probably not. It's too soon for the topic.
Too soon. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That was episode 112 of LaF. Next time we're coming at you with a review of The Revenant starring Leonardo DiCaprio. That'll be episode 113. Should be out later this week. Thank you for joining me in studios, L-Train.
All right.
There be dragons.
Poxet Boner, everybody.
And I'm your host, Mr. Two Frames. Joining me in studios, as always, is the L-Train. How are you, sir?
Great. I was looking. Sorry, I'm great. It looks like you're getting my breathing or something. I didn't know I was breathing that hard.
Well, we pick up each other's mics pick us up a little bit.
Sorry. So much for the flawless open.
Whatever. I can stick the landing twice.
All right.